The movie kicks off in Tokyo. A CIA assassin, let's call her Avery, scopes out her target before rappelling off a skyscraper. She lands and immediately takes out a nearby guard. Inside the building, a Yakuza boss named Kenji is discussing his latest shipment when suddenly, Avery gets a gun to his head. She tells Kenji to open the safe. Just as he does, one of his bodyguards walks in, causing Avery to lose her focus. Kenji uses the distraction to escape with a hard drive. Avery takes down the attacker and chases after Kenji, battling through a swarm of bodyguards. A group corners her, but with her expert skills, she turns the tables. Kenji ambushes Avery, and the two engage in a brutal fight. Avery overpowers Kenji, submersing him in the pool. She grabs the drive and escapes the building. Avery returns to Croatia, where she lives with her husband David. David is preparing dinner to celebrate their 30th wedding anniversary. They exchange gifts, and Avery is thrilled to receive the coat she's always wanted. David reveals to Avery he wants to adopt puppies, but Avery says she isn't ready. Instead of eating dinner at home, Avery suggested they go out. On the way to the restaurant, David asked Avery to join him on a business trip abroad, and she excitedly agreed because it had been a while since they'd gone anywhere together. The next morning, as Avery was getting ready for work, David wanted her to stay home and spend time with him, but Avery said she had to go. They kissed goodbye. At work, Avery talked with her boss and friend, giving him a watch as a souvenir from her previous mission. They then entered a secure room to discuss the contents of Kenji's drive. Inside, they found information about businesses used to smuggle weapons, and details about a top assassin known only as Kali, who had messed up a Russian mafia job in Tokyo and killed 2 undercover agents. They planned to investigate further to find out Kali's real identity. When Avery got home, she tried to avoid chatting with the nosy neighbors and went inside. She was horrified to find her house ransacked and saw David's broken glasses lying on the floor. She frantically searches around when she hears a phone ringing on her desk. A mysterious voice on the other end knows all about her. They provide a code to unlock a prisoner held in a secret CIA facility, who's hiding a file called Canary Black inside a fake tooth. They demand Avery steal the file, or she'll never see David again. Avery demands proof David is alive, and hears him scream through the phone. The mysterious voice orders her to bring the Canary Black file to a payphone in an alley near her house at midnight. If she doesn't retrieve the file or alert her agency, they promise to kill David. Avery threatened to kill him if David got hurt, but a strange voice reminded her of the plan before hanging up. Avery immediately contacted a hacker named Serena for help, keeping it on the down low. Serena was hesitant at first, but Avery threatened to tell the Russians about Serena's recent hack into their system. So Serena had no choice but to agree. Avery then asked her to track the location of the last call to her phone. Meanwhile, Avery grabbed her gun and got dressed in a hurry. Serena reported that the mysterious caller was using a burner phone, but she tried to track the location in text. Avery the details. Avery went back to the office and found out the CIA prisoner's name was Stoica, but all the detailed information about him was restricted. She sent what she found to her personal email. Getting the location from Serena, Avery rushed there, gun in hand. When she arrived, she heard a ringing phone inside an abandoned apartment. Besides the ringing phone, she found David's wedding ring. The mysterious voice on the phone revealed they'd anticipated Avery, following the trail, and announced she'd just stepped on a pressure-sensitive bomb. The distorted voice on the phone showed they were watching Avery and started reading her classified file, proving they knew everything about her. He reiterated that if she got out of this, the deal was still on. Avery wasted no time prying up a nearby floorboard and used her phone to ID the bomb, a bouncing Betty. She broke off a table leg, triggered the bomb, and chucked it out the window, taking out a chunk of the building. Unharmed, but out of weapons, Avery flips the bird at the camera before hopping out of the car, with renewed purpose and speeding off. She arrives at the secret CIA black site, where Stoica is being held, and demands to speak with Agent Maxfield, the one in charge of Stoica's detainment. Maxfield initially refused, but Avery explained that Stoica held crucial information related to the case she was investigating. After some persuasion, Avery was allowed into Stoica's room. She revealed that she knew about his connection to the assassin Kali, as well as the stolen Canary Black file. She offers to help him if he gives her information. But Stoica refuses to talk. Avery attacks him and snatches his fake tooth, which is supposed to contain a file, but it's empty. She overpowers Maxfield and makes her escape, but Maxfield believes Avery got the file and orders agents to pursue and apprehend her. Avery took down a few agents before escaping the building. Shortly after, the entire CIA was put on high alert about Avery's betrayal. At CIA headquarters, Deputy Director Nathan Evans demanded answers from Jarvis and Maxfield. Jarvis revealed that Avery, orphaned at a young age, had been secretly trained as an assassin since the age of 18. Though Jarvis suspected Avery wasn't a traitor, despite this, Evans ordered her hunted down and eliminated. Evans explained that the Canary Black file contained blackmail information involving numerous government officials, from the president to Jarvis, including Jarvis's secret affair a few years prior. Evans stressed that they couldn't allow the enemy to possess the file, and gave Jarvis full authority to handle Avery. Meanwhile, Jarvis and Maxfield reviewed the footage of Avery's incident. Maxfield suspected Avery had been manipulating Jarvis from the start. They planned to track her down, intending to bring Jarvis in for interrogation. While checking Jarvis's transaction history, they discovered his card had been used to withdraw cash and book a flight to Rome. Right then, Jarvis got a call from his home number, but it was Avery. She explained that David was being held hostage to force her to hand over the Canary Black files. Avery told Jarvis that she didn't have the Canary Black files and begged him to believe she wasn't a traitor. She urged him to come to her house to prove it, where she claimed there were still signs of the chaos. To keep things under wraps, Jarvis pretended to be talking to his wife before leading a team of CIA agents to Avery's house. But when they got there, they found the place spotless and completely untouched. This only made Maxfield, who was already suspicious of Avery, even more determined to find the files. Avery shows up at a club and looks for Henrik, the owner. Henrik isn't happy to see her. Avery convinces Henrik to help her by offering to pay him and give him some information. She needs a list of assassins and foreign intelligence brokers in the city, plus some other supplies. Avery then heads to one of her safe houses. As soon as she walks into the apartment, a stranger attacks her. After a brief fight, Avery takes the guy down and kills him. She grabs a suitcase from the kitchen, but then hears the attacker's phone ring. The distorted voice on the other end reveals they sent the guy and have drained Avery's backup funds as payback. Avery opens the suitcase and is shocked to find it empty. She tries to explain that Stoica's tooth doesn't have the file, but then receives a video call showing David being tortured. The mysterious person believes Avery still has the files and threatens to kill David in 4 hours if she doesn't hand them over. Avery contacts Jarvis and arranges to meet. That night, they meet in Jarvis's car. Avery tries to convince him of her innocence, but Jarvis explains that the Canary Black files contain blackmail information about high-ranking officials, including him. He stresses that she won't have a chance to trade the files. Just then, their car is surrounded by CIA agents, and Avery realizes Jarvis set her up. Avery is captured by Maxfield and his team. On the way in an escorted convoy, 2 other vehicles suddenly attack, bombing and detonating remotely. The surviving agents fight the masked attackers in a shootout while driving. Seizing the opportunity, Avery attacks the escorting agents, causing the entire convoy to crash. Avery frees herself, grabs a rifle, and takes out her attackers. One of them survives and chases her, but Avery ambushes and kills him with his knife. The attacker turns out to be Rurik, her neighbor. Before dying, he's unable to offer any more information. Jarvis returns to Maxfield, convincing him that Avery could be in danger, but Maxfield remains adamant that Avery is a traitor and threatens to take Jarvis's power. They receive a picture of Rurik, and Jarvis recognizes him. The mysterious voice is revealed to be Konrad Breznov, who is also the one directing Rurik. Konrad coldly reminds Rurik's wife that soldiers are meant to die, before killing one of his men for failing to capture Avery. Avery goes back to Henrik, only having a few $1,000s left, and offers information in exchange for his help. Avery reveals Kenji's connection to a United Nations Security Council member and how he profits from it. Henrik reveals that the Kruger siblings, including Kali, are operating in the city, and Avery suspects they're behind Jarvis's kidnapping. Henrik also told her that Rurik was a private contractor so secretive that even the CIA didn't know about him. Finally, Henrik gave her the supplies she'd asked for, but warned her not to contact him again. Evan headed to the Nest organization's headquarters to meet their director, who turned out to be Konrad Breznov, the man behind the mysterious voice who had been manipulating Avery. Konrad sarcastically blamed Evan for the chaos he'd caused in the city. Left with no other choice, Evan proposed they work together to catch Avery. Konrad agreed, but demanded to be the one to interrogate her first. Avery rented a hotel room under a fake name, then secretly climbed out the window at night to access another room in the hotel, where Evan was staying. Once inside, Avery received a picture of Jarvis, along with a message demanding she bring the Canary Black file at midnight. When Evan returned to his room, Avery attacked him, putting a gag over his mouth and tying him to a chair. Avery explained that Stoica didn't have the file, and that her husband had been kidnapped, but Evan warned her that she would die if she delivered the file to the enemy. Avery suspected Evan was the one who had the Canary Black file, and forced him to reveal his computer password. Evan refused, so Avery decided to test his pain tolerance. She broke one of his fingers, forcing him to give her the password. However, the password didn't work, and Avery broke another finger. When Evan still wouldn't cooperate, Avery strapped a remote detonator around his neck, threatening to end his life. Finally, Evan gave her the password but revealed his account could only be accessed from a secure CIA server. Avery then called Serena, asking her to pinpoint the location of the nearest server. She also contacted Jarvis, demanding the blueprints for Technologies building, a company contracted with the Department of Defense, and housing the secure server. Knowing this was a huge risk that could expose them, Jarvis reluctantly agreed to help Avery. Avery met Serena on the roof of a building near Technologies. They planned to use a drone to help Avery get inside. Jarvis delivered the blueprints, and Avery clung to the drone as it flew over the building. She landed on the roof of Technologies and told Serena to come back for her in 10 minutes. Avery stealthily moved through the building, bypassing security measures and eventually reaching the server room. There, she used Evan's account information to log in and copy the Canary Black file. Meanwhile, Evan woke up back in his room, unable to immediately call for help. A while later, the agents found Evan tied up and alerted them to Avery's actions. The agents contacted Technology's security team, demanding the building be locked down. Avery had successfully copied the Canary Black files and called Serena to pick her up. But as soon as she left the server room, she was surrounded by security. Avery fought back, taking down the guards, then jumped from the building and grabbed onto a drone. But the guards opened fire, causing the drone to malfunction and sending Avery plummeting to the street below. Miraculously surviving the fall, she told Serena to meet her at a different location and quickly carjacked a terrified driver to make her escape. Evan, furious over the setback, called Conrad, and they began rallying their forces. Serena met up with Avery, and together they opened the Canary Black file. But they discovered it wasn't just a list of classified information. It was a collection of Doomsday viruses, specifically designed to target individual countries. If even one of these viruses was unleashed, a nation's entire economy could collapse. Realizing how dangerous the file was, Avery decided not to let it fall into anyone's hands. She had Serena encrypt the file, rendering it unusable, and then took Serena's phone to message Jarvis, asking him to track her location. With the midnight deadline fast approaching, Avery raced to the payphone, where she was instructed to answer the call. But on the way, she was rammed by a truck. Despite her injuries, she struggled to reach the ringing payphone, but it was too late. As she stood there, a man suddenly attacked her with a taser and injected her with a sedative. Conrad finally got his hands on the Canary Black files and began putting his plan into action. Wearing a mask, Conrad hijacked a live broadcast at the Global Unity Conference in New York. He burst onto the screen, declaring he had the Canary Black files, and threatened to unleash the viruses if each country didn't pay a hefty ransom. To demonstrate his power, Conrad unleashed a virus that crippled Singapore's entire electrical grid. After the chilling display, he ordered his henchmen to prepare for a heist, aiming to steal $1 trillion from the now-held hostage nations. Evans summoned Maxfield to a private meeting, where he revealed that the CIA had created the Canary Black viruses as a top-secret weapon against enemies. It was so clandestine that even the president was unaware of its existence. Evan also admitted that the CIA had even created a version of the virus, specifically targeting the United States, in case of a civil war or invasion. Now, they had to find the hacker who stole the files at all costs. Meanwhile, Jarvis tracked Avery's phone and pinpointed her hideout. He feigned intoxication and stumbled inside, quickly taking down the men guarding the entrance. He continued deeper into the base, but was caught in a crossfire and brought before Conrad. Jarvis was shocked to see Conrad and realized what was going on. He demanded to know Avery's location, warning Conrad that the CIA would find him. But Conrad unexpectedly shot Jarvis dead. Conrad then woke Avery with a slap, mocking her weakness and saying she had helped him become rich. Avery demanded to see David, and Conrad complied. David was tied up and beaten, dragged in, and shot in the side. Meanwhile, countries began panicking and paying the ransom. Conrad received a call from his president, demanding he return the money. David attacked Rurik's wife, and Avery was stunned to see David fight and overpower her, brutally killing her. Then David freed Avery, but Avery attacked him, demanding to know his true identity. David revealed that he was the one who told Conrad about Canary Black and the kidnapping was a plan between them for Avery to retrieve the file. He was Kali, and after the job went wrong, his identity was exposed to Conrad, who learned about the virus and threatened Avery. To save his own life, David proposed the plan to use Avery as a pawn. Avery thought everything between them was a lie, but David said their marriage was real to him, and he just wanted to protect them. Avery demanded he cut off Conrad's internet connection and promised she would find and stop him. Countries had either paid the ransom or were preparing to, and with time running out, people started criticizing the U.S. for creating the file in the first place. Evan, meanwhile, was losing his cool and demanded his team find Avery and Jarvis. They managed to track Jarvis's last known location, and Evan ordered a tactical team deployed there. Avery found Jarvis's body and cried for him. Conrad had received most of the ransom money, but a few countries, including the US, hadn't paid yet, and he was preparing a virus attack on the non-paying nations. Just then, David reached the electrical panel and cut the power to the building. Avery used the darkness to get closer to Conrad and his men. As Conrad was about to lock the room, Avery opened fire. During the shootout, Conrad ordered his hacker to launch the virus while he made his escape. Avery took down one attacker and went after Conrad. Conrad and his hacker were getting close to their objective, but Avery caught up to them. Another firefight broke out, but Avery kept pushing forward and finally shot Conrad's hacker, bringing him down. Realizing he was cornered, Conrad offered Avery billions of dollars, but she didn't stop shooting. She hit him in the shoulder and continued her attack. The two engaged in hand-to-hand combat. Conrad tried to grab a knife, but Avery was faster. Ultimately, they both fell from the balcony during the intense struggle. Meanwhile, the wounded hacker managed to activate the viruses. Conrad tried to finish Avery off with a knife, but she fought back relentlessly and ultimately killed him with his blade. Avery then just barely managed to stop the viruses before they fully launched. David reached her again, apologizing for everything and offering to make things right. However, Avery didn't accept his lies and returned his wedding ring. The CIA suddenly burst into the room, and David told Avery he loved her before jumping out the window. Avery was then arrested and brought in for questioning by Evan, who told her she'd broken countless laws and gotten her mentor and husband killed. Evan declared he would get revenge for her breaking his finger, but Avery headbutted him before a woman named Elizabeth Mills entered. Evan received a call from the president himself, and Elizabeth revealed she represented a new clandestine agency called MC6, tasked with handling threats at the highest level. She offered Avery a position within the agency as an alternative to facing trial and imprisonment. Avery accepted Elizabeth's offer. Out for a walk, Avery spotted David's wedding ring on a railing, implying he was still alive. The movie ends there,